Welcome, everyone. I'm waiting for my prosecutor to sit down. Hey, sit up. Welcome, everyone. Before we get started with committee tonight, Tiara Moore from the Executive's Office and Corey Kendrick from Summit County Public Health will provide an update to the Council on Trauma-Informed Care Coalition. Thank you.
Oh, good afternoon, Council. Sorry, my first time here presenting to you guys. So first, I just wanted to open up with a definition of trauma-informed care because we finally have one in the report I had sent to you all. That's on page 72. And one of the definitions we're working off of for trauma-informed care states that trauma-informed care is a strength-based service delivery approach that is grounded in an understanding of and responsiveness to the impact of trauma that emphasizes physical, psychological, and emotional safety for both providers and survivors, and that creates opportunities for survivors to rebuild a sense of control and empowerment. So as you know, our executive is dedicated to addressing many issues in our community, and as we see by a lot of the research done by the University of Akron, trauma plays a role in a lot of different issues. So the goal of this coalition is to try to make sure our community takes a trauma-informed care-based approach to offering services and viewing some issues such as addiction and many other things in our community. So we have today for you all, like I said, the report and our press release that kind of outlines some of our initial first steps for this. Obviously, there's a lot in the report and there's a lot we can do. So Public Health, ADM, and the Executive's Office all went through and sat down with the University of Akron to say, okay, where can we start with this whole project? And Corey will kind of go through some of those beginning steps with you all, and then if you guys have any questions, we're happy to answer.
Thank you. So, and also I just wanted to add before I get into the implementation piece of this, this was a co-funded project with the Opioid Abatement Advisory Council and the Summit County ADM Board to create the assessment, which the intent was then to follow up with the implementation plan. And just a little bit on the research of this. Research shows that unaddressed trauma contributes to poor health outcomes, higher rates of school dropout, involvement in the justice system, substance use, and suicide. Trauma affects everyone, regardless of the background. And here in Summit County, with our most recent youth risk behavior survey data, found that 57% of high school students reported at least one adverse childhood experience. Nearly 18% of high school students reported 4 or more. Students with 4 or more adverse childhood experiences are significantly more likely to engage in high-risk behaviors, including substance use, self-harm, suicidal ideation, attempts, and carrying a weapon, and more. That's our best local data we have. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of great adult data on trauma, but we know that trauma is not just limited to childhood. It can occur at any stage of life through loss, illness, workplace stress, violence, discrimination, or other major life events that can have lasting effects on mental, emotional, and physical health. So what are the next steps from the plan? Looking at coalition activation. So with the ADM board and the University of Akron support, local coalitions such as the Trauma-Informed Care Coalition and Change Direction will receive support through building capacity, planning strategically, and setting achievable short and long-term goals with measurable outcomes. Looking at professional development for our leaders across the spectrum of sectors, not just professional clinical mental health, but also looking at all the sectors that we serve. So police, fire, EMS, it could be children's services or developmental disability board or any social service agency, faith leaders. So this is across all sectors and spectrums, putting together train the trainer programs to educate others and facilitate dialogue around trauma-informed care and having sort of like a trauma 101 sort of perhaps. And the University of Akron will be utilizing some leftover funding that we had from the assessment. They were very diligent with their assessment, and with this they had some carryover funding to allow to do some of this implementation. Behavioral health professionals will receive specialized training in conjunction with the ADM board for evidence-based treatments to treat trauma, such as EMDR and trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy. And then looking at workforce wellness and non-clinical programming, such as mental health first aid, QPR training, and other evidence-based trainings. Policy integrations. Organizations will have access to embedded trauma-informed principles in policies and operations, including developing a shared definition of trauma-informed care, creating contract language to ensure trauma-informed care principles are included in social services, funding, and self-assessment tools to track progress over time. And finally, community engagement. Public awareness campaigns and events provide residents with opportunities to learn more about trauma, resilience, and healing practices. Learning about trauma-informed care helps every resident understand how trauma affects behaviors, relationships, and health. It empowers people to respond with empathy, seek support when needed, and contribute to a safer, more resilient community. And I know you had some branding and other website.
Yeah, so with the public outreach, that's a really big thing. I wanted to try to do a little bit of rebrand, so I'm going to pass out to you all to just pass down, take a look at our new logo. So we're working with ADM now. You'll see the orange old logo, so moving things off their website. Obviously, will be linked back to them, but making sure that we have our own kind of web page for this with its own unique branding that people can associate with our trauma-informed care. So I'll just pass that along for you all, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, if I could, on the, you mentioned in the document that we have that there's a community professional development piece. Is that for just folks on those boards, or is there any opportunity for case managers to get training so that they're right there with the front line?
Now, this will be for leadership, frontline staff, and residents. There'll be multiple tiers. So looking at lay people who are not in clinical services, all the way to clinical professionals for evidence-based trauma treatments. So it'll kind of run the gamut, and there'll be opportunities across the spectrum for each of those.
Okay, and will those be public notices that'll go out about that, or, okay?
Yeah, so we plan to use the Trauma Informed Care Coalition with the new website and rebranding to kind of streamline the notifications and marketing of this out to the community.
Great.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add that we're working with ADM. I know they are offering trainings already. They just did one with school resource officers, and they did talk about this. So, making sure that we also are publicizing, hey, if organizations are out there and they're talking about this, that we're saying, well, they did this event, and, we're uplifting that as well. So that's one thing of more of the rebrand and marketing we're going to definitely work on, so people know opportunities. And like Corey said, it will be opportunities for everyone, no matter where you are, locally.
Thank you.
If there's no other questions, thank you all.
Thank you very much. All right, very good. So with that,
Rita has a question.
oh, sorry, you have a question, Rita, or you want me to? No? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and open the Personnel Committee
you.
at 4:40. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. First item on our agenda tonight is 2025-262, a resolution confirming awards by the Board of Control of Contracts for the county's health insurance programs as set forth in Exhibit A for the Executive Department of Human Resources, Division of Employee Benefits, and declaring emergency. Lisa.
Oh, there we go. Sorry. Thank you. Good evening. I'm Lisa Yeager, Deputy Director, Executive Shapiro's Office of Human Resources, Division of Employee Benefits. I've got a few items on the agenda for this evening for our 2026 benefit plan year. The first two are renewals. The first one is the Guardian Life Insurance. It's the second of two annual renewals with no changes to the cost. The second is the MetLife Dental renewal. It's also the second of two annuals. No cost change to that as well for 2026. So we will be keeping MetLife for 2026. For health benefits, administrative services, medical coverage, and prescription coverage, we are going with Medical Mutual in 2026. We will also be going with Medical Mutual for stop loss in 2026. And we also have a renewal, a new 5-year contract with First Stop Health that we're presenting today. Normally, we enter into a 3-year contract, but they gave us a deal on the last 2 years, so we're requesting a 5-year contract instead of the normal 3. We will be changing vision providers for 2026. Davis will be going away, and we're requesting to be, for VSP to be our carrier. VSP is a bigger network of providers. The network is 100 times bigger than Davis Vision. We had several employee complaints, dissatisfaction employees with Davis within the last 6 months, so we really did some research and decided it would be beneficial to go with VSP for our vision in 2026. The biggest item that I think I want to bring to your attention is our dependent audit that's coming up through our online enrollment system, Ben Express. The company is called Accordware. Currently, we do a manual dependent audit. That means and I'm not sure if everybody knows what a dependent audit is, but let me get my notes here. A dependent audit is basically where we check eligibility for your dependents to make sure that they're truly eligible for the plan. Currently, we do that as a manual process. If there's a new hire that comes in, we ask for a marriage certificate or abstract birth certificates for your dependents to make sure they're your true dependents. We do that manually. We load them into Ben Express. We did go out for bid to do a full-on dependent audit this year, and Accordware, which is our current vendor, is the only vendor that will continue to do, we'll do a full audit and continue to do an ongoing audit. All of the other companies that we got quotes on were a one and done. So we would have to continually manually do that process. So we decided we hope to go with Accordware. Not only do we hope to cut costs, but it'll definitely reduce the employer's risk. If we do find dependents that are not currently eligible for the plan during this dependent audit, they will not be penalized. They won't be charged back for the premiums for the premiums or the claims that were paid, and there will be no disciplinary action taken. So it's kind of it's a non-penalty. If they're on the plan, we will just simply remove them from the plan. If employees do not provide appropriate dependent documents during open enrollment, they will not have their dependents will not have coverage starting January 1st. So, can I answer any questions?
Just one quick question. On VSP, are the providers that were covered under Davis under them as well, or will there be some variation?
We haven't got the full provider list yet, but yes, I believe that most of them are. I can't say for certain, but I know 3 employees have called and asked the same question, and those 3 were. So I'm guessing that there were, but their provider list, their in-network provider list, is literally 100% bigger than Davis.
Thank you very much. Any questions from committee? Any questions from members of council? Councilman Schmidt?
Copays recently increased.
I'm sorry.
Yep, it's on. Copays recently increased from $40 to go to a specialist to $50 to go to a specialist.
They are increasing in 2026. Let me
Again?
find my list here. Not again. Not for specialists, but they are increasing. Oh, sorry, I don't have my list here. They are increasing. The urgent care copay will increase.
From what to what?
I'm sorry, I thought I brought that in here. Let me find it here. It is, I think it's now 50. There it is. Sorry, bear with me.
You can get back to me on that. But, because my question is, so it's going to stay at $50 a copay to see a specialist? You know, for example,
The specialist copay that you have today is the same in 2026.
same as 2020. But it seems like not long ago, it went from $40 to $50. How long ago was that? Is it mid-year?
It was 2023, I believe, or 2024. I have to go back to double check.
I guess I just noticed it, in the last few months or so. But,
Well, you know what, then call me, because I don't think that, if it went up within the last few months,
yeah,
based on what it was in January,
yeah.
that should not go up, it should be the same.
Okay, well, I'll look
So
at it's on the back of my card.
It
I
can
actually-
depend on how your provider is credentialed through Medical Mutual.
Oh, really?
So some
Might
of
it
them-
Might it be out of network?
It could be, but that still
And
should.
that's why it's
well,
costing 50 and not 40?
If it was out of network, you would pay a percentage, not an actual copay dollar amount.
Okay. And I guess my question, for example, somebody goes to a podiatrist for nail care, and it costs $50, $50 plus whatever your deductible is if you haven't paid your deductibles. But I'm looking at this, and I guess it doesn't say what the deductible is. But what I'm wondering is, oh, there it is. Yeah. Let's see, preventative visit, nothing. ER, $250. Specialist, $50. I mean, they consider a podiatrist a specialist?
It just depends on how they're credentialed with Medical Mutual.
Huh.
So
Because
if you're
the-
getting a $50 copay, call me or email me your date of service, and I'll make sure, I'll double check with Medical Mutual that they're credentialed as a specialist, if you got a $50 charge. Okay?
Okay, thank you. And then, I guess what's the difference in cost going from, it saves us money to go to $50, obviously. It saves us money to go to a $50 copay versus a $40 copay. I'm just wondering, what's the difference, and what does it save us by going to 50? And-
You're talking for the plan as a whole?
Yeah.
We'll get you that information.
Well, it's just, and what it does, and we've talked about this before, it discourages people from, so it's,
Yeah.
it might cost you more money in the long run because somebody doesn't go to the doctor because they don't want to spend $50, and then they end up in the emergency.
I don't disagree.
For the plan as a whole, I'll give you kind of macro level, and then, so this kind of gets into the micro level, but our healthcare plan, going back 3 years ago, we actually had a big reserve balance. In fact, the state auditor's office cited for having too much in reserves. It was almost, I think it got as high as $20 million, with about a $5.5 million actuarial liability for run-out claims. So in other words, we end the plan today, and we pay out all the bills that still have to come in. That's about $5.5. We began running large deficits about three and a half years ago now. I'd have to go back and look, but our reserve balances had gotten down to $3 million, so less than what it took to cover run-out claims. Over the last 3 years, to try to catch back up to where we need to be, we've had 30% in premium increases, along with some of these increases to the copays, deductibles. In total, and I just had Lisa send me some reports, and I'm going to spend some more time going through. I want to look at those copay and deductible totals, where they sit and the out-of-pocket max. But we collect, I'm thinking it's $3-4 million a year overall in the plan with those copay and deductible payments from employees. So, yeah, those $10 increments, they actually do add up to be quite a bit of money across the plan. We'll get more information to you on what those changes have yielded in the plan. But it has been a struggle the last couple of years.
Oh, it's frustrating.
It is.
It's frustrating. And then recently, I went to the same dentist for 40 years, and all of a sudden, I go to the dentist, and he retired, didn't tell anybody. I'm like, so I've in the last few years had several different ones, and now this one I have, well,
It's
they
probably
no
not
longer
on the
take-
network.
They no longer take MetLife. I'm like, oh shoot.
Do you need to go to the dentist from now until the remainder of the year? I can find you a in-network dentist.
No, I think I found one.
Okay.
David Horner helped me out on that one.
You
But
can
thank
always
you.
contact us to help you find an in-network
Well, in
provider.
in fact, I think,
David works part-time in the benefits department.
all right. Thank you, Lisa. Thanks, Brian.
Any other questions from council? All right. With that, can I have a motion I have a motion from Councilman Will Height for 2025-262. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes. Thank you very much,
Thank
Lisa.
you.
Appreciate it. If there's no other business before personnel, we'll adjourn at 4:51.
I'd like to call the Public Works Committee meeting to an order. The time is 4:51. The first item on our agenda, 2025-263, a resolution granting design preparations for Northfield Center Township's Dorwick Ditch Petitioned Drainage Improvement Project pursuant to Section 6131.12 of the Ohio Revised Code and declaring an emergency.
Yeah, good evening. I'm David Kuntz from the County Engineer's Office. You may recall we had last week presented to the committee our preliminary report on this project. And then also we presented a presentation summary of that and had a public hearing for the project. So I'm just here tonight because before you now is, as Mr. Ford stated, a resolution authorizing us to go ahead with the design preparations. And once we get the design preparations a little bit further along, we will meet again with the Northfield Center Township trustees and residents and go over the plans that we have at that point and listen to any concerns they might have on the access. They did express some concerns with the easements and the access last week. So we need to get the design a little bit further along so we can see what we need to do for access so we can maintain this in perpetuity, but also try to minimize the disruption to their yards. So we'll be walking a fine line to try to satisfy our needs and their desires as well. But tonight it's authorization so we can proceed with continuing with this design. So here if you have any questions.
Any questions from committee members? Any questions from council? May I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion from Councilman Schmidt. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
2025-264, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a purchase contract with Cargill Incorporated at Ohio Department of Transportation Cooperative Purchasing Pricing for road salt for the 2025-2026 snow and ice control season in an amount not to exceed $265,000 for the engineer and declaring an emergency. $165,000, sorry. Dollars for the engineer and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Heidi Swindell, Summit County Engineer's Office. Monique is passing out kind of the analysis of the last 16 or so years of salt prices. It is fairly stable now. It's 9% more than it was last year, but 2019, I think we're all still a little traumatized from that when it went up 99%. So the 9% this year is not looking bad. It did drop back down. That was from the collapse of some access to the salt mines on Lake Erie. So the price went up, man. But yeah, we only budgeted $165,000 this year because our bins were so full. We actually didn't have the space to do the $400,000, $500,000 that we usually buy, which was a great thing. But when we do our budget in November and present to you, it's going to look like our salt went up. It's just because we reduced it so much this year. But I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from committee members? Any questions from council? May I have a motion?
So moved.
A motion from Councilwoman Hyam. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
2025-265, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of change order number 2 to a professional service contract with CTI Engineers, Inc. for engineering design services for Project Q185, elimination of Hudson Sanitary Sewer Overflow Area 1, located in the City of Hudson in Council District 3, in an amount not to exceed $91,900, for a cumulative increase of 71.73% for a total amount not to exceed $666,819.60 for the Executive's Department of Sanitary Sewer Services and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Chair Michael Vinay, Director of Sanitary Sewer Services for Executive Eileen Shapiro. This project is the elimination of a constructed bypass in downtown Hudson. The project consists of a realignment of many gravity sewers. During the design, we requested this change order to add some underground flow equalization and buy some more storage in the assistance of the elimination of that constructed bypass. So we asked the design engineer to put a proposal together, and that's what this change order is related to. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from committee members? Any questions from council? May I have a motion? Motion from Councilman Lacotte. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 2025-266, a resolution declaring the imminent failure of the force main near Valley View Road under State Route 8, located in the city of Macedonia in Council District 1, an emergency pursuant to Section 177.07A3 of the codified ordinances of the County of Summit, and confirming the award by the Board of Control of a construction contract with Wingfoot Rental and Development Co. in an amount not to exceed $537,884.79 for an emergency repair to the force main for the Executive's Department of Sanitary Sewer Services and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. This force main had several breaks, both on each side of State Route 8. At that point, I made an assessment and a decision to replace the force main underneath State Route 8 so we don't lose Route 8 with a sewer break. So we brought in an emergency contractor, got into contact with the Ohio Department of Transportation, worked with them, and we drilled a new force main of 20 inches, approximately 400 feet under State Route 8, to avoid imminent failure under State Route 8. Happy to answer any questions.
So this work has already been completed?
Correct.
Okay. Any questions from committee members?
Yep. Mr. Benet, I noticed that on Route 8 in Macedonia, as you go over, there's a bridge that goes over heads to 271, continues on, but underneath that bridge there is like a creek that runs through Route 8, and there's a huge tree that is blocking that whole area up underneath there, and then nobody's really tending to it. So I just thought I'd better let engineer and everybody know, because it's just look at it, okay?
Yeah, I'll get in contact with the officials up there. Have
Yeah,
them take a look at it.
because it is important. It's a pretty decent size tree. You could basically see it coming, when you're coming back into Macedonia from Akron. Okay, it'll be on your right-hand side. You'll see it where the bridge goes over. It's where that truck came off the bridge that one time, where all that damage, that's where it's at.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Any other questions from committee or council? May I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion from Councilwoman Hyam. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 2025-267, a resolution certifying delinquent sewer service charges to the fiscal officer for the Executive's Department of Sanitary Sewer Services and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. This is our annual piece for certifying delinquent sewer accounts. We will have the final list completed by the end of the week and out to council ahead of next week's meeting. But again, this is just the annual certification process. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from committee members?
I have one, Brandon.
Councilman Smith?
Thank you. Delinquencies going up? Are they coming down? Are they
Well,
staying the same?
delinquency, the number's going to look higher because of the last 5 years of rate increases. But I can tell you right now, based on the last list I saw, we were at about 4,000 accounts and about 3.8 million. But $1 million of that is made up of only 40 accounts.
Okay, what are we doing to rectify that?
Well, we are, doing our best to collect all the revenue we can because we want the revenue, obviously. So, we do reach out to these people. We do send them certified letter in July letting them know that they are delinquent. And then we also put it on their bills letting them know that if they're still delinquent by this date, they will be certified.
You can't shut off their sewer, can you?
Are those mostly businesses, those 40?
Yes.
Okay.
Multifamily and commercial and industrial businesses.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? Rita?
So I get a lot of questions up in Sagamore about a double bill. Do you know anything about that? About a bill for Mr. Nelson? Maybe you could jump in on this one. I'm sorry. I don't mean to throw you under the bus, but so up in Sagamore, you know how there's two sewer bills that they're getting up in Sagamore. I get phone calls almost every day about this.
You're talking about the surface water fees.
Yeah, and then the sewer though, right? They're complaining about the double bill.
So they get a sanitary sewer bill from us, but they also get a surface water bill from the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District because they are in their stormwater district.
Yeah, the big issue with Sagamore, and we've talked to the trustees, and we've talked to Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District about this, and are working on what hopefully will be a plan to allow that situation to sunset, and put the money that both NEO and the county has now begun collecting to use to manage a large project up there. But yes, they are still in the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District. That goes back to a court settlement on a suit. The trustees in Sagamore would like to get out, but not everybody who's in Summit County who's in that would like to get out, and that's one of the sticking points under the terms of that settlement. I think maybe there's some acknowledgement from NEO on that. Our goal is to try to get a project funded for a large bridge replacement that's causing flooding over there, with participation by our county engineer, the Cuyahoga County engineer, the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District, and Sagamore Township with the money that they have out of the NEO program. And so we've been having discussions on that, but it's still a work in progress.
But eventually, that'll go away. I mean, the bill,
Our
the
goal
second
is for
bill.
that to go away, yes.
Okay, because I just wanted to
can't
make
sit
sure
here
I
and
asked
say.
that question because I believe the trustees are telling the residents to call us.
Well, they probably are.
Yes, so I just wanted to make sure. Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
we're working on it.
Are there any other questions from council? May I have a motion?
So moved.
A motion from Councilman Schmidt. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. If there's no other business before the Public Works Committee, I'll adjourn at 5:03.
Planning and Economic Development will open at 5:03. Our first piece tonight is 2025-268, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a construction contract with Control Concepts of Ohio LLC at GSA Co-op pricing for the HVAC controls upgrade project for the Summit County Children's Services Administration Building located in the city of Akron and Council District 4 in an amount not to exceed $463,114.29 for the Executive's Department of Administrative Services physical plants and declaring an emergency. Mr. Eckenrode.
Good afternoon, everybody. Joe Eckenrode, Physical Plants under the County Executive's Office. This project is going to design and install all new controls for the HVAC at the administration building at 264 South Arlington for Children's Services. Both front end, new valves, front end software, complete package, make the system much more efficient. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Have any questions for Mr. Eckenrode? May I have a motion? A motion from Mr. Wilhite on 2025-268. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. 2025-269, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a construction contract with WL Concepts and Production, Inc. at GSA Co-op pricing for the Ohio Building Finishes and HVAC signage package located in the city of Akron and Council District 4 in an amount not to exceed $116,295.66 for the Executive's Department of Administrative Services physical plants and declaring an emergency.
I'm going to ask that we table this legislation as we work some more design, more design of the signage and pick the correct options with the Executive's administration. So I'm going to ask we table it.
Do I need to do a motion to put it on time, or can I, yes? Do I have a motion to put this item on time? So moved. I have a motion from Ms. Hyam. All those in favor of putting 2025-269 on time, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thanks, Mr. Eckenrode.
Thank you.
For 2025-279, I actually have an amendment. Can I have a motion to accept the amended version found on the purple sheet? I have a motion from Ms. McKinney to accept the amended version of 2025-279. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. 2025-279, an amended resolution authorizing the executive to execute grant agreements with the Development Finance Authority of Summit County, the City of Akron, Akron Public Schools, Summit Metro Parks, the Akron Summit County Public Library, the Akron Zoological Park, the Summit County Board of Developmental Disabilities, the Summit County Children's Services Board, and the Summit County Alcohol, Drug, and Mental Health Services Board for the distribution of proceeds from the sale of the real property located at 1 Cascade Plaza, Akron, Ohio, 44308 in Council District 4, the executive and declaring an emergency. And I think Mr. Nelson is speaking on this.
Yeah, I also have, I've invited Rachel Bridenstine from the Development Finance Authority and Patrick Bravo from the Summit County Land Bank. Why don't you guys come on up a minute? I did want to take a minute to acknowledge them and all their hard work and give them a chance to speak on this. This entire endeavor with the acquisition, sale of 1 Cascade Plaza, along with the kind of leap of faith County Council took in supporting what was a $1.5 million line of credit, which fortunately never had to be drawn upon, so that we could essentially assist the DFA in an issue they were dealing with a default on some DFA bond obligations, but also working with the county fiscal office as well to make sure that this property, which sits right in the heart of downtown Akron, full of tenants, we wanted to make sure we kept those tenants, got this property turned around and back on the productive tax rolls. And this piece of legislation really speaks to the fact that all of those efforts were an overwhelming success. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rachel to talk a little bit about what she and the DFA and then the supporting role, kind of a lead/supporting role the land bank played in all this, but they've undertaken over the last 2.5 years to make this happen. So Rachel.
Great. Thank you. And hello, everyone. It's not every day that I get to come up and, maybe I'm too close.
You're good.
Is that better?
It'll
Okay.
adjust.
It's not every day that I get to share some good news, especially that a plan that we put in place exceeded expectations. And not to get too far into the weeds, as Brian explained, we talked about, in our work, we have economic development finance. We had put issued bonds for the building previously, but had to end up taking on ownership of that. We did that through a deed in lieu of foreclosure. From the beginning of that, though, it's been a collaborative initiative, which we in DFA, we knew we couldn't do this on our own. So I think this success really speaks to the collaborative strategy, staying the course. It was a couple years' time, if you recall, when you initially approved the line of credit. It was a few years ago. And then working through the sale, et cetera, reconciling all of that, that we could not have done it without all the partnership with the county, thank you, the land bank, the city. And I am excited about what this means for how it can be a plan for future activities. How do we stay the course in strong collaboration? Happy to answer any questions that you might have about it, but if not, then Patrick.
Thank you, Madam President and Madam Chair. Excited to be here. Patrick Bravo, Summit County Land Bank. And we did play a supporting role in this. Happy to do so. I think all of you sitting here know how important our downtown districts are to the vitality of the rest of our communities, as goes the core communities and the core neighborhoods, often goes the rest of the community. And so, as Rachel said, it was really important for the community to really come together in sort of this public-private hybrid sort of project to figure out how to stabilize one of the most important buildings in our downtown landscape, stabilize the occupancy, and get it back on the right track to start collecting revenue. It was also important for our county leadership and our board leadership, which happened to also be kind of one and the same for Executive Shapiro and Fiscal Officer Scalise, to be able to say that sort of our floor for this project was really to try and be able to sort of give back to those taxing districts that were losing revenue from the prior ownership. So if we could collect that in the sale, redistribute that to the taxing districts and give them an opportunity to recover as well, that was really important. And so also to thank Pleasant Valley, who happens to be in the room, and Gino is behind us. So to thank them for coming to the table, not just for that building, but to really try and revitalize all of downtown Cascade Plaza.
Thank you. I don't know, and I just heard nod. Can someone introduce the buyers and tell us a little bit more about who those folks are?
I'm sorry, Pleasant Valley.
They don't have to speak. I'm just curious about a little more of their background and
Sure.
et cetera.
Pleasant Valley Corporation, they have worked with us for the purchase of this property in order to revitalize this specific building, and they took ownership in February. They have a strong track record of property ownership, real estate development, and they seem like a really great fit for this property. And so far, I've been seeing some good activity of increased tenant leasing, et cetera.
Do they have any other projects in the city that we might be familiar with?
Yes, First Energy.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, they just acquired the First Energy Tower. They're a local family-owned out of Medina County real estate firm that came to look at the property, one of several entities that approached the DFA about the property during the time the DFA was holding it. We had also looked at, along with the DFA, at the auction that had occurred on the, was that on the First Energy property or the one next door down at?
Next door.
Next door. And when we looked at, if you remember, we were trying to turn this property around and get enough money back out of it to satisfy all the tax obligations. There were delinquent taxes going into the acquisition. There were also the foregone taxes during the holding period, which the land bank held the property, along with taking care of some of the unpaid bills, legal costs, all of that. Proud to say that this is 100% of the tax delinquencies that will be distributed through these grants. They're no longer taxes because they were technically all forgiven as part of the land bank's acquisition. So that's why they're being distributed back through the form of grants to those taxing authorities.
That's why we need legislation.
Yes. Yeah, and so thus the legislation to authorize the grants. And Rachel, I don't know if you want to announce it, but there was essentially a little bit extra after covering all those costs that you got approval from your board to do something with. Or are you not at liberty yet to discuss?
Not yet,
Okay.
but
Good
we
job,
have plans of
It's good
future
news.
investment into the community. This was much more than we expected. We didn't think that we would be able to fully compensate the taxing subdivisions, and this is we're thrilled about that, and thank you all.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. This is a great job. And to the folks at Pleasant Valley, thanks for taking this on. Mr. Wilhite?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. A couple things. First of all, thank you all, because I know the great amount of work that went into this from a couple years ago to now. It was a little scary when it was just coming together because we just didn't know where it was going to go, but it turned out to be very, 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 very good. Thank you for everybody stepping up. This is in my district, and it's as a life resident of the city of Akron, it's so nice to see something saved and not discarded. So this is huge for us. It's not only a win for the activity that came together, but it's a boost to the spirit of the community. And I thank you both. And I want to take a minute of personal privilege. And Patrick, thank you for your extraordinary leadership with the land bank. I've had an opportunity to deal with some folks here recently that have worked with the land bank, and they have commented on how forward-thinking our land bank is and the unique things that are being done there, and that speaks to your leadership. And the same thing, Rachel, with the DFA. We've had some folks from out of state contacting us about the Housing Trust Fund, and how that all came together, and just really excited about that and trying to do that in their communities, back in their home communities. So thank you all for your extraordinary leadership. We're all the beneficiaries of that, especially the ladies and gentlemen on this list. That's very cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roy. Councilwoman McKinney?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So thank you for sharing a little bit about the buyers. Is then most of it going to be office space? And I believe before they had a few little retail establishments in the bottom. Do you know if they're going to continue doing that? Or, use any of the space for other than office space?
The plan that I know of is a continued commercial office space. And the building is suited better for continued office use that way. Perhaps down the line, I can't speak to other retail opportunities. I know that office was still the main expectation.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Ms. McKinney, would you like to move on this? I have a motion from Ms. McKinney on 2025-279. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Planning and Economic Development will close at 5:17.
Good evening. I'm calling to order the Public Safety Committee at 5:17. We have 5 items of business tonight. We will start with 2025-270, a resolution confirming the award of the Board of Control of a purchase contract with Hamco X-Ray Incorporated as a best practical source for 3 X-ray scanners for the use of 2 at the Common Pleas Courthouse and 1 at the Juvenile Court Facility in an amount not to exceed $136,575 for the sheriff and declaring an emergency. Chief Holland.
Good evening, Bill Holland from the Sheriff's Office. So these 3 units would be replacing existing units that are about 25 years old. They've worked very well, but they're reaching the end of life. They're needing a lot of repairs. Obviously, the repairs are expensive because it's difficult to get the parts, but like it said, there'll be 1 at the juvenile facility and 2 at the main courthouse. So they're going to look just like the ones that are already there. They're very similar.
Any questions from the committee? Questions from council? May I have a motion?
So moved.
Councilman Schmidt moves. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. 2025-271, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of professional service contracts with various vendors to provide evaluation services for the psychodiagnostic clinic for a 1-year term from 7/1/25 through 6/30/26, and a total amount not to exceed $198,952 for the Court of Common Pleas and Psychodiagnostic Clinic in declaring an emergency. Good evening.
Hello, thank you. My name is Nicole Quester. I'm with the Common Pleas Court. The court's seeking to enter a professional service contract with various vendors for evaluation services for the Psychodiagnostic Clinic for the period of July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026, for a total amount not to exceed $198,952. These evaluations include, but are not limited to, competency to stand trial, sanity, competency and sanity, non-secure status evaluations. These services will be funded through various grant sources.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee? Questions from council? May I have a motion?
So moved.
Councilman Schmidt moves. All those in favor, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries. 2025-272, a resolution confirming the award of the Board of Control of a professional service contract with Oriana House Incorporated as a best practical source for 2 full-time case managers to provide support and treatment services to Valor Court participants for a 1-year term from 9/30/25 through 9/29/26 in an amount not to exceed $133,473 for the Court of Common Pleas, General Division, Adult Probation, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. The court's Valor Court, Ohio Supreme Court certified specialized docket dedicated to serving court-involved veterans would like to enter into a professional service contract with Oriana House This is for case management services for Valor Court participants in an amount not to exceed $133,473. This would be for a contract term of September 30th, 2025 through September 29th, 2026. This would be funded through grant funding.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee? Questions from council? May I have a motion?
So moved.
A motion is moved by Councilman Schmidt. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. 2025-273, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a professional service contract with Community Support Services as a best practical source for 2 part-time peer support specialists and 1 full-time case manager to refer and link Hope Mental Health Court participants to community resources and provide case management services for a 1-year term from the period of 10/1/25 through 9/30/26 in an amount not to exceed $124,645 for the Court of Common Pleas General Division, Adult Probation, and declaring an emergency. Ms. Kester.
The court's Hope Court and Ohio Supreme Court certified specialized docket dedicated to serving court-involved citizens suffering with mental illness would like to enter into professional service agreement with Community Support Services for case management and peer support specialists. This would be a contract amount not to exceed $124,645 for the contract term of October 1st, 2025 through September 30th, 2026. This would be through BGA grant funding.
Thank you. Any questions from council, the committee? Questions from council? May I have a motion?
So moved.
Councilman Schmidt has moved. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. 2025-274, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a renewal of a professional service contract with Interval Brotherhood Homes Incorporated, doing business as IBH Addiction Recovery, for peer support services for Valor Court participants for a 1-year term from 9/30/25 through 9/29/26 in an amount not to exceed $87,471 for the Court of Common Pleas General Division, Adult Probation, and declaring an emergency.
The court's Valor Court would like to enter in a professional services contract with Interval Brotherhood Homes, doing business as IBH Addiction Recovery, for peer support services in an amount not to exceed $87,471 for a contract term beginning 9/30/2025 through September 29th, 2026. This would be funded through grant funding.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee? Council? May I have a motion? Councilwoman McKenney moved. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. We will close Public Safety Committee at 5:24.
I'll open Health and Human Services Committee at 5:24. First, we have 3 items tonight. First up is 2025-275, a resolution declaring the month of October 2025 as Safe Sleep and SIDS Awareness Month, highlighting the risk of sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS, among infants, the importance of safe sleep practices in reducing SIDS, and uplifting families with newborns for the executive and declaring an emergency. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Megan Sutherland. I'm a public health coordinator at Summit County Public Health. Excited to come for the 3rd year in a row to kick off our public service announcement and social media campaign that will be happening in October. I was also asked to provide just a little background information about safe sleep and SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. Summit County Public Health is the lead agency of Full Term First Birthday, the infant mortality collective collaboration here in Summit County. Summit County has very high infant mortality. We're one of 10 counties recognized by the state for infant mortality. We are very commonly in the top 5, sometimes even in the top 3 for the state. Our infant mortality is only a problem for our Black babies. Our Black death rate, infant death rate, is 2 to 3 times higher. Some years up to 6 to 7 times the rate. And I get asked a lot, why? Why is it so much higher for our Black babies than our white babies? And we actually wouldn't even be funded. We wouldn't even have an infant mortality problem if we just looked at our white babies. So definitely for our Black community, we have done a ton of work to try and close that disparity, close those gaps. So what I like to tell people is, caring for an infant is hard. I want you, if you have children, I want you to go back to that time. Your baby's waking up, it needs fed every 1 to 2 hours. It's a really hard time. I joke, they're operating at the same level. They found that sleep deprivation is at a level that you're actually operating the same as someone who's intoxicated. Sleep deprivation is a form of torture. Like, think back to how rough that time is. Now imagine doing it as a Black family who experiences exhausting toxic stress, is possibly living in poverty, alone, has no supports, how difficult that really makes that period. When we surveyed and did focus groups on our moms, at the beginning, we really had a lot of education. So we've done a lot of work around that, a lot of evidence-based programming, bringing in, community health workers, Black doulas, Black lactation support programming. We've done a great job at educating moms. I feel like they know their ABCDEs of sleep, and they pull that way, but they're still deciding to co-sleep, to practice unsafe sleep practices. So we've done a lot of work in the past 3 years since that survey. Once we finally hit the point that we knew moms knew, really getting deeper. Why? Why then? Why are you still making that decision? And it's because it's really hard. It's really hard. You're really tired, and I feel like we've all had those moments. And we've really here recently been able to come, to their level, to change our voice, to meet moms where they're at. Like, hey, this is the gold standard, A, B, C, D, E. It's not always going to happen. So what can we do? We found that the longer you co-sleep, the more quickly you enter into REM, a deeper sleep. So if you do wake up and you're sleeping with your baby, if you can place them in a bassinet or a crib at that point, that's a win. So really educating moms, what to do if it does happen has been really beneficial to our efforts. So exciting new things with this campaign. We're really going to do a lot of education around that, meeting moms where they're at. Breastfeeding was a huge reason, I guess, is why I'm talking about why moms are co-sleeping. It was just really hard to breastfeed and to not co-sleep. So there's going to be a lot of education that comes out, tips on how to breastfeed and make it easier than to not co-sleep. So that's exciting. We also, a few years back, and we need to have them come one of these years, started Army of Moms at Akron Children's Hospital. That is Black moms educating other Black moms, Black grandmas, aunties, moms, putting that word out. So really emphasizing the E, educate everyone, and that's been very successful. So really changing that voice, making sure that the person, telling the mom about safe sleep is the right person to be telling them. And lastly, Project Milk Mission is a new partner, very exciting partner. Again, Black lactation support for our Black moms. So really just having a better culturally competent voice to help educate you. And more to come. We have grant funding. October's a huge month for the health department, so 2 grants coming out and lots of new partners. We had 23 proposals, so we're sorting through those now on next steps and what we'll be doing to lower co-sleeping and sleep-related death in Summit County.
Great, thank you. Thank you for your enthusiasm too, by the way. Any questions from members of the committee?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the analysis of everything related to SIDS. Are we finding that the numbers are declining in Summit County? Are we staying steady?
We've been staying steady. It's 30% of infant mortality, of infant deaths, are actually sleep-related in Summit County. Summit County has very high, is that me? Sleep-related death. COVID's been a huge skew. My epidemiologist has assured me that through COVID we saw a surge. So it's really made our data hopefully not what it's going to be for the 10-year projection. I don't know if you remember, but during COVID in 2020, we actually had to do a press release. We lost 6 babies in an 11-day span to start COVID off. So really put the word out there, and that's where we started, why we started declaring and doing these public service announcements.
One thing I'm wondering is, it is a lot easier to set a baby in a bassinet because you could put a bassinet right beside the bed and have that closeness of sleeping right by your baby and maybe even holding the baby is, touching the baby. Is it possible that, there's a large percentage of people that don't have bassinets so that they can use them?
Most of the houses, they say they do have a bassinet or a pack and play in the home. We have cribs for kids. Akron Children's Hospital is able to give a free pack and play to any family that qualifies that's in need. So most of our moms are on Medicaid, so they would be eligible for that. So we've talked about like next steps, like maybe there's new upcoming, it lays in the bed with you, but has like an edge. I can't think of their official name. They're not quite approved, but I hope that maybe bringing them in a little bit closer.
Okay, thank you.
Another thing we recommend is if you are going to sleep with the baby on your bed, to just even clear off the big blankets and pillows. So again, sorry if it's, so meeting moms where they're at to try and make whatever space they do have as safe as it can be.
Any other questions? John?
On the advertising side, do like the hospitals, when the infants are born, do they receive brochures or any counseling or training, or how do you get the word out to people?
Yeah, they do a good job, and we are finding that moms know how to practice safe sleep. They're just deciding not to. So it's really, a lot of times a cultural thing. They want to feel closer to their baby. They don't have a safe space. The home could have cockroaches, mice, mold. There's a reason why they don't want to place that baby lower to the ground or away from them, violence in their community. A lot of times when you do talk to the mom, there's a reason, a pretty good reason why they are deciding. So just really be able to adapt to that.
Once a baby gets to the crib, basically their own bed, do you not have to worry about SIDS?
Pretty much, if it's prepared properly. So if you don't have a pillow, toy, blanket, it needs to just be an empty crib. And that's another thing that's hard for people. They feel like it looks cold, it looks, empty, it looks so bland, it's hard. And another huge misconception that babies need to be kept warmer. Not true. So babies need to be kept the same temperature as an adult person. And another reason for SIDS, huge player to SIDS, is overheating.
Thank you.
How much of a factor is positional sleeping for the baby?
Yes.
On your back?
So that has changed. So a lone back crib, your ABCs, used to be your belly, but they found that if a baby vomits and they're on their belly, they're going to asphyxiate. And we have a lot of grandmas that, tell their daughters that, it's going to be on tummy. So that's another reason, too, Army of Moms is really good. They help talk to moms about how you need to talk to your family members. Actually, most of our sleep-related typically isn't with mom. It's with a caregiver, dad, or an aunt, or a babysitter, typically if it's an unsafe sleep environment.
So to be clear, it's still safest to have a baby on their back?
On their back, yes.
Any other questions from any committee members? May I have a motion? Ms. McKinney moved on the resolution 2025-275. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Next up is 2025-276, a resolution declaring the month of October 2025 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month in Summit County, recognizing survivors, loved ones lost to breast cancer, and caregivers that supported individuals throughout their battles, reaffirming the need for early detection and a cure for breast cancer, and encouraging residents to wear pink on October 24th, 2025 for the executive and the council, and declaring an emergency. And if I could, to back up to the council as a whole on the first resolution, we all good with it? Okay. Okay. Greta?
Thank you, Councilman. That certainly makes this easy.
As you all know, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and this council has supported the executive's office ask of it to join her in declaring October Breast Cancer Awareness Month in Summit County. It's been done at the national and state level for decades. I see it dating back to 2017 here in Summit County. So I think the most important number I would just state for this group and for anyone else listening is that 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed. And when we're talking about nearly 13% of our women and girls in Summit County, it certainly is important to take note of that. Those who have survived and those who continue to fight, and also those who provide care for them. So would ask on behalf of the executive your support.
Great, thank you. Any questions from members of council or members of the committee? Members of council? Council as a whole. Okay, we have a motion. Ms. McKinney moves on 2025-276. All those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Up next is 2025-278, a resolution authorizing the executive to execute a third amendment to a grant agreement with the Akron Community Foundation to provide additional funds in an amount not to exceed $500,000 to the Opiate Small Grant Program to provide grants in an amount not to exceed $25,000 per grantee to be paid from the opiate litigation settlement monies for the executive and declaring an emergency.
I'm going to start this off, Councilman, if I could, just so there's a little bit of context for perhaps some of our newer council members. This council has authorized prior grants over to ACF for the Opioid Healing Fund. This is different than the appropriations that this council agreed to last year for the supporting organization in the Field of Interest Fund. In the last 5 years, this council has agreed to grant just over $1 million to the Akron Community Foundation so that it can provide smaller grants to grassroots organizations and providers out in the community, no more than $25,000. As you all know, the supporting organization will be focused on innovation and helping with new cutting-edge ideas. But as it turns out, here in Summit County, we're pretty good at knowing what does work. And these organizations are meeting people where they are. And a lot of them do not have either the back office support or the numbers or size to qualify for Medicaid reimbursement. And as we are staring down the barrel of Medicaid being cut significantly for many of our residents, as well as a dip in philanthropic support of small organizations just due to economic constraint or concern, we felt it was very important to ask the Opioid Abatement Advisory Council to authorize this, or ask council to authorize this so that we could, again, provide these grants to community providers. The last I checked, and Megan Scott is here, she serves as the corraller of cats when it comes to the OAAC. She provides all of the support for this group as far as their administrative needs. And then John Garofalo is here from ACF to answer any of your questions that you might have. But I counted nearly 60 organizations who in the past 5 years have benefited from these grants. And they are names that you know: Truly Reaching You, Keys to Serenity, Hope United, the Battered Women's Shelter. And these are programs that sometimes just there isn't another way to fund, right? If there is a recovery provider who needs to buy work boots for their reentry program, there isn't a Medicaid provision for that. So these grants really do make what I think is significant impact in this community. So I'd ask Megan to give you a little bit of an update on the OAAC.
Yes, hi everyone. I am Megan Scott. I'm the Behavioral Health Services Supervisor at Summit County Public Health. I've been here for other issues before, so you know I wear a lot of hats, but one of them is part of the administration team for the Summit County Opiate Abatement Advisory Council. So that group meets currently twice a quarter to discuss the different opportunities that may be out in the community to issue RFPs involved in the trauma-informed care plan that you heard from my colleague earlier. Today we are talking about the Opioid Healing Fund, and honestly a lot of what I was going to say Greta already covered, which is the importance of peers and community support. That's been a huge focus of the executive as well as the Opiate Abatement Council this entire time from the beginning since the litigation was done in 2016, 2017, and then the Opiate Abatement Council started around 2019, 2020. That's actually when I got started with the Opiate Abatement Council. That was my first job at Summit County Public Health. I was a peer supporter who was hired to directly work on that council as part of the admin team, and it's been excellent to watch it grow ever since then. The Opioid Healing Fund is one of the things that there's hardly really any discussion or questions or comments or concerns about, because the Opiate Abatement Council, the stakeholders, they all really recognize how much this helps the community. It is peer agencies. It is usually agencies that are smaller, who are ran by peers, people with lived experience, people who are in recovery themselves, people who have lost someone to their disease of addiction, and now those families are trying to support other families or help other people find their own paths in recovery. Often out of their own pocket is how they start. So these grassroots efforts, all of the funding that goes through the Opioid Healing Fund to those organizations allows them to provide boots, employment services, and things like that to address those barriers. There's one organization that does stuff around Christmas for children who've lost a parent. There are events that are held which help address stigma, but also show people in recovery that there are people out there to support them. A major fact early in recovery that a lot of people struggle with is, I can never have fun again. What did I do to have fun in the past? And so these small little grants and events are able to help show that not only can you have fun in recovery, but it's okay to talk about it and it's okay to get help for it. And address those stigmas from that direction, try to break those cycles of addiction as well. The social network, not only is it something that we recognize helps people who are in recovery, but research actually shows there is an evidence base for community support. And that's why the Opiate Abatement Council has put a lot of emphasis on these types of funding opportunities. So there have been over $1.2 million already issued. Grants have ranged from the max at $25,000 all the way down to $2,500. So some of these are really just one-time quick events that are able to help people or reduce those barriers to employment, to accessing healthy food, to getting all of those other supports that Medicaid and other areas aren't able to provide funding for. So if there's any questions, I can answer them, or John's here from the Akron Community Fund. And thank you.
Megan, thank you.
Just one last thing, and ask John to join Megan at the podium. I know that the question has often come up about, how are we leveraging these dollars? How are we communicating with ADM about what they fund, what that missing piece is, where people can fall through the cracks? And ACF has been an excellent partner in this, and there's a reason we keep going back to them. Once those applications are received by ACF for the funding opportunities, John always sits down with myself, Megan, with representation from the ADM administration, and we talk about, is this appropriate? Is this something that's already funded by ADM? And there have been times where, the director of ADM herself will say, don't fund this. That's something we should be funding. Or, send me that information so that we can look at how we can help them. Or often she'll tell us, hey, I'm hearing really good things about this. I'm really hopeful that you will fund it because we'd like to see, what those results are. So the epidemic really did provide a silver lining for us to be working together to leverage all of these funds that we've got in the community to make sure that we're reaching the most people the most efficiently.
Megan and John, thank you very much. And for those of you that are in the audience or my colleagues here on the dais, when you hear that you've helped give somebody some work boots, you might be thinking, well, what's the big deal? It is a huge deal. Because here is somebody that's gone through a very traumatic time in their life, and they're getting back on track. And that one barrier is their job. And I don't know if you've priced work boots lately, but they're not cheap. And to be able to have just that available to get somebody through that last piece to get their life back together, it may as well be $1 million because it is that important. And I speak from where I know because I see this daily with folks that come through Family Promise. It is an extraordinary thing that this fund does. And thank you guys for putting this together and using those dollars in a very positive way. And ACF to piggyback off what Greta said, is always at the forefront to do stuff, John, and thank you for what you've done and now in your new leadership role. And to our guests that are here tonight, one of the things that I hope you leave this community with as your takeaway is that this is a very caring community. We have an extraordinary group of people in this community that when somebody's down, we're always there. They don't have to look too far. We try every which way we can to maximize the resources that we have, and it makes a difference because it's a very caring community, and it shows literally every single day. Doesn't matter what the department is, but collaboration is the key to all of it working, and we do a great job at that. So thank you both for everything that you're doing and have done in the past. You guys are amazing. Are there any questions from members of the committee? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I concur. I just want to thank the Executive's Office for all the work they did in the opiate settlement and for the Akron Community Foundation for administering this grant.
Our marketing department. Our marketing department does a great job of getting the word out into the community. We will notify everyone who has received a grant in the past. We also reach out to those that have received grants to say, who else is doing good work out there? Can you please pass that on? And every cycle we do, we usually get 3 or 4 new organizations that, frankly, we have never heard of, but are doing great work out there. Over 10,000 people have benefited from this program since its inception. So we make sure that the organizations who do receive grants report back to us exactly what they're doing with the funds. So there is some accountability there. So we make sure that happens 1 year after the grant award is happening. And if I could share 2 successes that have come out of this program. One is that when we first started this program, the organizations that received grants decided to get together on their own because they each were doing individual work, but they needed to work together more collaboratively. So they formed their own collaborative called Better Together, where they get together on a monthly basis to talk about the opiate issue in this community. And then they put out resources to say, I get emails from them because I'm on their email list to say, we have a patient who is in need of housing, who could take them? And within minutes, somebody responds and is able to get that person into treatment or get them into residential. That's one story. The other one I'd like to share with you was a real life situation with a woman named Angel. Angel is an alumni of the organization that she received funding from. She came to the organization struggling deeply with chronic homelessness and addiction to methamphetamines. She was able to hold a job. She was unable to hold a job as a result of her addiction and was unable to be a mother to her 2 children. Angel was broken down and pessimistic about her ability to complete the program and overcame her significant challenges to regain her life. However, she quickly became a force to be reckoned with after taking her first steps towards healing and self-improvement. Angel was able to learn by attending the 4 Agreements book study meeting each week and quickly formed lasting bonds with the other women at the recovery retreat. Because of this grant, she was able to give herself time to heal, learn positive behaviors, habits, and build the foundation for a life of sobriety. Angel now owns her own home, she has her children back, and started her own cleaning company. Angel is a shining example of how love, guidance, and support can help transform lives.
Absolutely, it makes a difference. Greta, Megan, earlier you guys mentioned that one of the things this grant does is it helps the smaller organizations with their back office types of support. Is there any initiative currently, or could we put something together that does a back office cooperative where somehow we could marshal some resources that way that could help them? I don't know what that would look like, but maybe as a way to help them make their dollars go a little bit farther with the grant that they get. If there's somebody there that can help them with that kind of structure that they need. They may not be forming an actual organization, but because of the work they're doing, they've got a lot of administrative stuff they have to handle. Is that out there, or is that something we could take a look at?
I don't think it currently exists, but it's something that we could bring up at the next Better Together meeting to see if it's something that they would be interested in.
Sure.
A lot of times, these are one or two employee organizations that are kind of doing all the work, and if they would have support, I think that would be beneficial to them. So it's something I could definitely bring up to them.
Okay, great. Any questions? Great.
Yes, sir. So to qualify, all applicants have to be a 501c type group in order to qualify for these funds?
Correct.
So if somebody was interested in this, they would have to contact one of those organizations? And if so, how do they go about that?
Yeah, if somebody has a program idea that they want to implement, they would have to partner with another organization who has that 501c3 status, because we could only give funds through the foundation to a 501c3 organization. But if they find a fiscal agent who is willing to take the money, account for the money, and distribute the money, then we'd be able to do it that way.
And how would they be able to, did they contact your office or?
They could contact us. We're happy to give them suggestions of who might be a good fiscal agent for them.
Okay, and your information is on this, correct? You're the, okay?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to make sure.
Any other questions or comments from members of the committee? Members of council? Co-sponsor? Council as a whole? Can we do that? Okay, great. May I have a motion? Mr. LeCompte moved on 2025-278. All those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. And I will close, thank you all. I'll close Health and Human Services at 5:52. I can't see all the way back there.
We'll open up finance at 5:52. We have one item, 2025-277, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a professional service contract with Dell Marketing LP at state term pricing for Microsoft Select perpetual license for a one-year term from 10/1/25 through 9/30/26 in a total amount not to exceed $119,102.42 for the Office of Information Technology and declaring an emergency.
Stephen Byrne, Office of Information Technology. So this is our yearly licensing for all of our Microsoft products. So this is all our end-user licensing, server licensing. There's a whole list of items that come in that. This year we were actually a co-term to contracts, so we're saving roughly about $12,000 by getting them all together.
Any committee questions? Council questions? Can I have a motion? Councilman Brandon Ford moves on 2025-277. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And we'll close out finance at 5:54.
Council, before we adjourn tonight, we have some special guests in our audience tonight. We'd like to welcome a delegation visiting us from Serbia. They are here tonight with Global Ties Akron. It's a world delegation through the Congressional Office for International Leadership, visiting on the topic of a rule of law with special interest combating corruption, drug trafficking, and organized crime. Welcome. Did anybody have any questions? Or does anybody have any questions? No? Well, welcome. I guess we're adjourned. We're adjourned.